I've been enjoying playing on my PC for a while now. I actually did a video, a little series of my road to kind of going from console gaming into the PC market. And even though I still play on my consoles quite frequently, the PC side has been extremely enjoyable. And with everything going on in the world, with tariffs rising the prices and scalpers buying up all the inventory, it can be very costly to get into PC gaming, especially high-end quality PC gaming. Well, there might be an answer for you. Well, some of you. Now, here's the thing. The title of the video may get people kind of triggered, but just make sure you watch the whole video to get a good understanding of what I'm saying. So here's the thing. I actually been looking and getting AMD's new graphics card, the 90 series, which is relatively good price. They're about $550 to $600, I believe they're normal MSRP. But with everything going on, it is very hard to get your hands on those, especially for those prices. Right now, on every website I looked, it's pretty much jacked up there. Building my new computers got put on a slight hold until prices get a little bit more reasonable, but that's okay because I have like pretty much all the game systems out right now, so I have things to switch between. But I still want to sometimes play those extremely high-end games on PC. And so what I did was I actually went and signed up for a subscription for GeForce Now. So for those who don't know what GeForce Now is, say for example, you want to play something like Marvel Rivals, you just go ahead and load up GeForce Now on your computer. It will go ahead and connect you to a gaming rig somewhere else. And then everything that happens on that gaming rig will be sent to your computer, to your screen with your inputs. And it's kind of like a back and forth type thing with your inputs and all that. And it can be pretty demanding. And I'll tell you right now, the process I'm talking about does require you to have pretty good internet. I'll just go ahead and say this isn't going to be for everyone, but I was still shocked at my results. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to be that great. I had a little experience with certain cloud gaming services using Microsoft's one. They're probably one of the more popular ones. And then I was even shocked with playing PlayStation's last year on their PlayStation Portal with their streaming service and how good it's actually gotten over the years. But to be able to play high-end games at the highest resolution settings on a computer with an ultra wide screen or just on other devices like Apple, how did that actually fare? Well, I was actually surprised to tell you it worked really well. I was playing so many different games at all high settings. It was nice to be able to just go into the setting and just put everything on ultra and just load the game up. Now, there's going to be some things that you definitely have to consider if you want to do this GeForce Now. To my knowledge, GeForce Now has about 3 different membership tiers. I'm on the highest one. I think it's called Premium. And I'll tell you from my personal experience, that's the only one worthwhile. I don't even really remember what the other ones were, but I didn't want ads. I didn't want long wait queue times. I just wanted to feel like I was actually loading up a game like I normally would and just play it, and that's it. And then of course I want the high settings because what's the point of playing if I don't even have the highest settings? That's about $20 a month, and there are a few things that come with that. So just recently, GeForce Now did implement a new rule or a new thing in place where you only have 100 hours a month that you can utilize their service. Now, if you do exceed that option, you can pay, I think it's like $5, at least here in the States, $5 for an extra 15 hours. I think it's a little bit cheaper if you have the next tier down. Now, if you don't use all your 100 hours, like say for example, 15 is the most that will roll over. I know myself, I still have like around 90 something hours left, probably like around 91 hours left. So I will have about 15 hours, if anything, rolling over into the next month for sure, guaranteed. But for some people, 100 hours may not be enough. Now, for me, it is because I do have other services. I actually do have a computer I can game on. I do have game systems I can game on. And then I have other subscriptions with them. I have, Game Pass with their cloud service. I have PlayStation with their cloud service. So I'm not always using GeForce Now. But for those that may want to only use GeForce Now, that is something to think about. You are going to also need a relatively good and stable connection. So at my house, I do have relatively fast internet, and I was able to play it throughout my house really well. Yes, there were times where there were some type of dips and lags, but to be able to load up pretty much whatever I wanted to and play it was actually pretty awesome. Now, another thing to keep in mind too is this is a gaming subscription that only allows you to play games that you own or games that are part of other subscription services that you have. So when you sign up for GeForce Now, they're not giving you any games with that subscription. You still need to have games in your library. So that means you'll still need to own games via Steam or Epic, or you have gaming subscriptions like Game Pass or Ubisoft Plus, whatever they call theirs. You need to have those type of games still all wrapped up in there for it to be able to work. So those are some things that you have to keep in mind as well. Now, the other thing I definitely want to also let you guys know is everything that I'm showing in this video was all cloud gaming. Nothing I'm showing is actually it running native on the hardware. Now, the really cool things, I do have a lot of Mac devices, I do have a lot of Apple products, and to be able to play these games on my Apple devices were actually really cool. What really surprised me was how well they ran even on my Wi-Fi connection. I have a really fast network but I also have a lot of my stuff hardwired. So like my game systems, computers, my server, everything in here is on a hardwired connection. So normally it's going to run really well. But when I actually use the Wi-Fi for my MacBook Pro and actually try to play games like Cyberpunk, for example, or even play COD, I was surprised that it was actually playable. Now the thing is, I wouldn't suggest playing games like COD or even Marvel Rivals, but it is playable and you definitely can do it. What I was more so surprised about was when I hooked it up into a hardwire connection and how smooth it ran. It actually got to the point where I was able to play games like COD with almost no real issues. There were times where there was like some stutter or I pressed the trigger and it didn't seem like anything happened, but for the most part it ran really well. But where this actually really shines is when we're playing maybe a single player game, survival game, maybe games that have PvE. This is where this thing really shines. Story-based games as well, when it comes to using things like Game Pass. But there were times where I actually forgot that I was playing over the cloud. And that's just because of how well cloud streaming has actually got over the years. Now, recently I also did pick up this Logitech G Cloud, which a video for this will be coming soon. I know it's been out for a while, but I also want to get my thoughts on this device, being that we're in 2025 and there's a much bigger push towards handheld gaming. So there's gonna be a video about this coming very soon, but I even tried it on this with GeForce Now, and again, high-end gaming on a handheld device, that's a whole nother topic for that video when it comes out. This is going to be good for a lot of people, not everyone. There's going to definitely be people that this is not going to be good for, but being someone that maybe doesn't have the ability right now to go out and buy all the components for a new GPU, because like graphics cards right now can be around $1,000 and up, which can be very expensive. But say, for example, you're someone that doesn't have the ability to buy a graphics card, but you do have relatively good internet, this may be a good option for you. Maybe the only type of computer that you have is a Mac, and so you're actually able to jump on and play games like Cyberpunk. I actually ran Cyberpunk on my Mac, and I was so shocked at how well it looked, and I was even able to use mouse and keyboard, or you can use your controller, which I did when I was playing a lot of these games. I just paired my controller via Bluetooth to my Mac, and it worked fine. I did it with my Mac Mini, I did it with my MacBook, and it worked really well. There's also a web version of the app that you can use as well, so you don't have to install it. You can actually use the web version, but I do know that it runs better if you have the app installed. So I use it on handheld devices, even certain TVs. Like I have a TV right over here that has GeForce Now, that is an application that you can install on the Samsung TV. Now with this service, at least the tier I have, you do get things like the new RTX and the DLSS and all those really great features as well. I was playing games like Forza, for example, and when I was able to drive around and actually see the really high resolution ray tracing, even over the cloud, looked phenomenal. I had my wife come in and look at it so she could see how well it looks. I was like really just impressed at how well this game looked. Now, of course, if you look hard enough, you can see that there's going to be some issues, especially I noticed in a lot of different games I've played that you notice more stuff in the background, like in the distance. I could tell that it was, being streamed over the cloud. When you play games with cutscenes, it really is a lot harder to notice. But when you're not in a cutscene, you're actually playing the game, you don't really notice it quite often. I was surprised at how much better it got when I actually went into the GeForce Now settings and actually tweaked my settings to be more competitive. For the most part, a lot of my data service I have is unlimited. And even when it comes to my mobile hotspot that isn't unlimited, I have like a very high data plan with it. So I really didn't care. I don't use it that often for the most part, so I really didn't care about burning data. For you, that may be a little bit different. So these are things to definitely keep in mind if you want to do that. But if you're going to be using this around your house, then things like that may not bother you. I was in the living room, my wife went and turned something on the TV, and I just pulled out my G Cloud, jumped on a game, put my headphones in, so she's watching TV, I'm playing my game in my house, and it worked really well instead of going in my room and just being in my room for like 50 hours just playing whatever games. I was even shocked that when I was playing sound, rarely was the audio off or choppy or anything. It seemed like the sound was almost always perfect when I was playing the game. So when it came to hearing stuff from my left and right and things like that, it always sounded good, and I was over the cloud. And you can still even put your headphones on if you're using this on your PC. You can still get in your Discord calls and stuff like that. This may even be good for content creators because you can even live stream your game, and it takes a lot of stress off your computer, and just play the game over the cloud and stream that. Again, like I said, you definitely want to have good internet connection, really good internet connection. You do have certain services that are a lot lighter than OBS, and you can stream your game. So you have options, but this is a good option if you guys are like content creators out there or anything like that. So I would highly suggest you make sure that you have a decent internet connection, and test it out first. They do have a free trial, so you can test out and see how well it works. But with that, you do have longer wait times with the free trial. You have ads And you know, you have like, I think it's like a 1 hour gaming session, which kind of sucks. So I didn't feel like dealing with this. This one, you have an 8 hour gaming session, but you know, all you have to do is really just turn the game off and turn it back on. You know, there's your 8 hours again. Yes, this is not going to replace PC gaming, traditional PC gaming with actually having the computer in your house. If you have the capability of doing that, I highly suggest you do that over using GeForce Now, because as great as the cloud is not quite there yet. I don't really look at this service as a full replacement. I look at it more as an add-on. Like I said earlier, you don't have the means to be able to get a computer, then yes, temporarily this could be a replacement until you do have the means. Or maybe you're not like a heavy duty gamer, you want all the perks and you want all the high settings, but maybe you don't really care enough to go out and buy a whole new rig or build one yourself. That's what a lot of this stuff is going to be for those type of people that may just not care. Because in reality, unless GeForce Now does raise their prices again, the cost of their highest tier across 2 years is still cheaper than AMD's new graphics card. So you're going to be spending around $480 or so in 2 years, where their newest graphics card is about $550 before taxes, and that's if you can even get it for that price. Where on the flip side of that, when you look at a company like Nvidia, their graphics card, which you're playing on a 4080 right now, those are going to be over $1,000 just by themselves, and that's not counting any of the other components. You still need the RAM, you still need a processor, you still need a motherboard, you still need fans, and you need a case, some type of storage in there, SSD preferably, which costs more than a hard drive, so there's still a lot of stuff to go into it, where again, this is just $20 and it does all that for you. You just need to have a screen to play it on. That's for the most part it, and a good internet connection. Comment down below what you guys think. Like I said, this is not to replace PC gaming. While I'm incorporating more PC gaming into my environment, this is just another cool little add-on that you're able to do across the board. So like I said, I still do my console gaming. I still love my PlayStation, still love my Xbox, my Switch. Nintendo's getting on my nerves right now, so we won't talk about the Switch right now, but I have the Switch there. But then on top of all of that, to be able to play on the PC side and have all of those games stream over my connection. Now, like I said, I can just run these games natively on my PC if I wanted to, but I'm running a 3070 Ti, and it shows its age when you're trying to play certain games with high ray tracing settings. So sometimes, I just turn on GeForce Now. And then also there's no updates, there's no downloads, the hard drive space, don't have to worry about that. Like I said, you can play Call of Duty, which has like what? I feel like almost 200 gigabytes. It's not that high, but it's high. Or even Destiny, for example, that's I think around 150 to 170. That takes up a lot of hard drive space. You can just load these up and just play it over the cloud, and you don't have to worry about all the hard drive space. So there's a lot of benefits to using a service like this, if you're the type of person that it benefits. If you're a person, again, that's super competitive, maybe you play more than the 100 hours a month, then this may not be the service for you. Comment down below, what do you guys think? Do you think that this is the future of where we're going, and how do you feel about it? And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you all in the next one. See ya.